What is up, everybody? I hope you guys are having a great day, weekend, whatever it is for you. I know I am. I'm really excited to get this video out to you guys. The Portland Trailblazers finally made a splash move. They went and got Larry Nance Jr. yesterday from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they gave up Derrick Jones Jr. and a first-round pick. And my first impression was boom, solid, cool. We got our best bench player now traded and onto the team. Larry Nance Jr. is great. He's a very underrated player. The thing with Larry Nance is he's played on a bad Cleveland Cavaliers team, and before that, a bad Lakers team. And so no one's really watched him, no one's really talked about him, and he's not a household name at all, right? But he's a very solid, fundamental player that doesn't really do anything bad. And I'm just really excited. I think the fit with Portland makes sense. And to give up Derrick Jones Jr. in a first, I'm for it. So I give that trade good job. My overall offseason grade for Portland was like a C to a C plus before this. Now I'm at a B to B plus, and I feel really good with all the additions they made. So what I'll say about Larry Nance and his game, if you don't know, there's two things I'm really excited for. The first is his defensive capabilities. And so he's really a lot like Robert Covington in the sense that he's a great help defender. He gets in passing lanes, active hands, he jumps picks, and he can really go out and guard bigger guys or the smaller guys on the perimeter. He's pretty switchable and flexible, and I just think him and Rocco at the same time on the court is just going to cause havoc. So I'm really excited for that. He was fourth in steals per game and top 10 in deflections, and so he's not a slouch on defense. That's exactly what Portland fans have been asking for, is bring in some defense. Well, we got one more, so I'm really happy with that. The other thing too is he's a really good short pick and roll player. People don't know, but like, this dude can pass. He really can pass. He finds shooters often. He can pass to another guy under the hoop, and he just is like a good playmaker. Like, he has good ball skills. He's not stupid. He's not like I always think about Al-Farouq Aminu dribbling up the court, and you're like, please just get it to Dame. Don't mess up. He's not one of those guys. He's pretty smart with the ball, makes good plays, and is a good passer. Or he's crafty and finds ways to finish. And then obviously we know he's athletic as hell. This guy, he will catch lobs. He can go up and slam it. Like, he's pretty good at everything. The only thing I really don't like that I've seen out of his game is sometimes he'll get into like the mid-range and try to do like these fadeaways thinking he's Kobe or something. If he can eliminate that from his game, stick with spot up threes, which he's actually respectable at, and do the other things he's great at, I'm happy. I can't wait to see what he does. And one thing too about Larry Nance is he put out that he was trying to go to a win first contender right now. After being on so many bad teams, I think he's going to come in and put his head down and fit right into the culture of like, let's get this thing done. So I expect big things from Larry Nance. And like I said, I think he's our best bench player. He's a fringe starter. He started a lot of games for Cleveland last year. So I'm happy with it. Now, the three negatives I've seen from Portland fans, and I will say though, it's mostly been positive from what I've seen. People like this trade. But if there was three things I had to point out, the first one would be that we gave up a first round pick. So in general, first round picks are valuable assets. Whether you're going to trade it or draft for your future and bolster the bench so these guys can develop, cool, it's a very valuable thing. But Portland, right, they always finish pretty good. So these picks really are late first round picks, in which in my mind are glorified second round picks. And really we haven't done like too much with our picks in the past. And so I'm okay with Portland being in win now mode, just getting rid of them. Like last year, they gave up first round picks for Robert Covington. I would have done that again. And so to get your best bench player now, I say go for it. Give up that first. That's my thinking on it. The other thing I saw too was like we had to get rid of Derrick Jones Jr. Larry Nance is a way better player than Derrick Jones Jr. And this is coming from the biggest Derrick Jones Jr. stan. Almost every time I talked about Blazers, I said, why is Derrick Jones Jr. not getting more minutes? Yada, yada, yada. And really, he failed last year. It was not because of him. It was all the coaching. And so I was excited to see him this year and what he would do. But to trade him off and get Larry Nance Jr., he's better at every little thing in the game except like athleticism. But I mean, Larry Nance is still pretty athletic. Like, it's just way better. I would do it again. I would trade him. So even though I love Derrick Jones Jr., the last thing I saw was, well, this trade, it doesn't move the needle. We need to still get rid of CJ. And like, trust me, again, I was the biggest advocate of get CJ out of Portland. But, you know, like, yes, this trade is not the splashiest, but it really fills out this roster. And Larry Nance is exactly what Portland needed to like kind of more complete this roster. I mean, you have arguably the top 5 starting lineup, and then to just bring in your best bench player now, it's a great trade. It really is a good roster move. Now, it might not mean championship, but it definitely picks you up wins. Like, this is a great trade for Portland. And so like, I don't get the argument of not moving the needle. Like, you're not always just gonna go and swing and get people like James Harden or, you know, like Pascal Siakam would have been nice, but these trades are necessary to build your roster up. And so all those complaints, I really didn't understand too much. Like, this is a good trade, and Blazer fans should be happy. And I think it's gonna be a pleasant surprise when you see Larry Nance on the court and what he can do. He's a pretty good player. And so with all that being said, you know what, Portland, I just expect them, like I said in my last video, a top 3 or 4 seed at least. I think that's really attainable for Portland. I think they're gonna win around 50 games, if not more. Like, this team is really built for an amazing regular season. I don't think I don't just see teams coming in and night out and beating this roster. It is very complete. As long as health stays a good thing for the Blazers. You know, I think they come out hot in the regular season. They have a lot of games at home, even though they have a hard schedule. But I think they pick up a lot of wins this year and could potentially be like that underdog team. So I'm really excited. I think this trade pushes Portland in the right direction. And now we just got to see what happens throughout the season. Maybe there's a trade at the deadline. And also, they do need to still sign one more player to the roster. So I would love to see a big man just in case you need like some security. I know there's still a couple guys out there. Personally, I want to see them bring back Ed Davis, even though he's like completely washed. I think that would be a good guy to have on your team. Bring him back to Portland. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the Larry Nance trade. It was pretty big in my mind. Do you think it's enough? Do you like Larry Nance? Do you think giving up a first was too much? What do you guys expect from this Blazers team coming this year? I'm excited personally. I can't wait for it to get started already in October. But until then, take care. Thank you guys for supporting, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.